Hey guys, Dan here. I want to talk to you a little bit about the new Wizard Fire build for Reaper of Souls in the new patch in Diablo 3. A couple of changes make this build pretty awesome. I'm kind of going to go through the skills that I'm using and why. First off, we got Shock Pulse as a primary skill. Shock Pulse actually, with the Firebolt's Ruin, does one of the highest signature spell damage. It's 274% of weapon damage. The only thing greater than that is Electrocute with Cone of Lightning. That's 301 with a real short range. So this gives a great area of effect with a high damage. Now also we're using Meteor Molten Impact, which is an amazing skill. You're doing the highest single second cast damage, 1,648% of weapon damage plus 549% weapon damage over 3 seconds. So anybody that's sitting around in there is taking 183% weapon damage per second. Only negative here, and this is a big negative, it's got a 15-second cooldown. So you'll see we don't really have any big arcane spenders on this, which is kind of an issue, although luckily we have pretty high damage signature spell. Also, Wave of Force, Heat Wave, doing some pretty good damage there. The other option for Heat Wave would... Okay, we'll wait for the Templar to finish shocking. Would be Black Hole, and that has a Blazar Ruin, which is going to do fire damage, and also kind of group those enemies for you so you can use Meteor on them. I'll talk a little bit later about how with the Black Hole is pulling things together so you can use Meteor. One of the other options would be for you to use Slow Time. That'll pull enemies together so you can use Meteor as well. Okay, but we're not going to do that in this build right now. I'm also using Hydra, Mammoth Hydra, which is doing the most damage for a fire skill. Magic Weapon Ignite, also fire damage, and Energy Armor Pinpoint Barrier for the crit. Now, fire damage is all about crit in the new patch. Reason being, Conflagration increased critical hit chance 6%. So that means we want to be critting as much as possible against these guys doing high damage. Unlike Arcane, which has slow, cold, which freezes, or static, paralysis, electric, which can shock and stun enemies, we don't have any of that with fire. So that means I'm using blur and dominance to mitigate damage. Now I'm going to go ahead and show you guys how this plays. I just want you to take a look. I'm using 15% fire skills for a little bit more damage, and this is kind of how equipment plays into this in the new patch and in Reaper of Souls. So let's check out how it plays. So you can see with fast moving guys like this, the Meteor is kind of wasted, unfortunately. See, we're still waiting on that cooldown. So let's see what we can do here. Kind of tank a little bit. You'll see I'm doing great damage with that Meteor. I'm still waiting on that cooldown, which is kind of unfortunate. You'll see we're still doing some pretty decent fire damage here, but it's not the most tanky build. It's still a hell of a lot of fun to play, especially if you're looking for a Nova type feel, or if you just don't need to be able to do really high damage. You're okay with doing decent damage with that really high damage every so often with Meteor, and then some pretty decent damage on a signature skill. I'm going to try and tank these guys, and we can see what a Meteor is going to do to them. Yeah, so pretty good stuff. Look, he's just standing there in the Meteor Blast. He's taking some pretty serious damage. It's also noteworthy that of all of the Wave of Force ruins, fire is doing the most damage. Same with all of the signature spells, Shock Pulse, Firebolt. So high damage, like I said, not really tanky. This is another way to play this. We're just going to take a look at that instead of using Hydra. Instead of using Hydra here, I'm going to use Slow Time, which makes it a little bit tankier, I guess, but also allows me, you'll see I can use this to kind of cast my Meteors and have them be a little bit more effective. So let's do some good damage. And now once we got those guys in there, see how my Meteor is going to be pretty effective. Like I said, not the most tanky here, so luckily I'm not having too much difficulty with these guys staying out of the way. There we go with that last Meteor to finish him off. So, fun build. I hope you guys check it out and get a chance to kind of play around with it and see what you like. Enjoy Reaper of Souls. If you like the build, please comment for me. Also, I'm going to do one more build to show you guys, and that's the cold build. So, go ahead and check it out when you get a chance.